Hello everyone. Now you will hear a short retelling of the movie Happy Holidays. Enjoy watching. Two bandits in clown costumes are trying to escape from the police chase and rush to the Mexican border. One of the criminals is seriously injured. He coughed up the stolen money and blood. The driver turned off the road and drove straight through the field. On the other side of the fence, the intruders are being chased by Mexican border guards. At some point, the American noticed the embankment and used it as a springboard to fly through the fence. The car turned over several times and froze in place. The Mexicans wanted to return the criminals to their neighbors, but plans changed when the officer saw a pile of cash in the car. We'll have to pick them up ourselves. Then my advice to you is to bury them so that they never come out. The Americans were thrown into the car. While one was being interrogated with passion, the other had already thrown back his hooves. Officers Vasquez and Romero kept the money, and the criminal was thrown into the famous El Pueblito prison. In the bullpen, the new guys were tortured by the sailors for 6 hours in a row. Experienced prisoners walk around the prison with guns. This is something new. They tried to take away our hero's shoes, and when he politely refused, he was fucked by the whole crowd. The prison director greeted the new arrivals. After that, the music torture continued. An employee of the American embassy drew attention to the fact that a U.S. citizen somehow got here. 5,000 songs later, the prisoners were transferred to the main building. This strange prison looks more like a Mexican ghetto. Alcohol and drugs are freely sold here. Women wash and get manicures right on the street. Kids are running everywhere. Gringo saw a bandit who was kicking him in the monkey bars. I followed him to the bathroom. Mustache didn't have time to relax. Gringo pulled him by the legs and hit his head on the toilet. After that, I took his wallet and watch. There was the most valuable item in the toilet bowl, a pistol that the Gringo had hidden for the future. Locals sleep right on the ground. Some kind of routine is still observed here. The Gringos were woken up and sent to sort through the trash at the local landfill. Used syringes have been found and local dealers are buying them up. Suddenly, the newcomer was beaten by a crowd of bandits. The nurse who came with them took blood from the American without asking. Someone was running this place, and obviously not the warden. The Gringo noticed an important man and began to watch him. Fatty called the guy who was standing on top in a bathrobe. Apparently, he's in charge here. Where did he get such a robe? I needed to raise my social status urgently. For 25 cents, the Gringo bought himself a day off. Then I turned my attention to the back room, a stall where heroin is injected to everyone. The local dealer has accumulated a decent amount. Gringo stole the fuel and set fire to his booth. When everyone evacuated, Pridoka stole the money and filled his pockets. Now he can afford soda and cigarettes. Some kid asked him for a couple. He saw what the Gringo had just done. Strangely, Manuel's shop burned down, and Dr. Rodrigo lost all the money somewhere. If I tell anyone, the shit will go down the pipes. A cigarette. The kid has been living here for 7 years. His dad was a dealer. Every prisoner can bring his family here if he has enough money. Malloy immediately got it from his mother when she saw him with a cigarette. The consul met with the American. The man is trying to figure out who this Gringo is and how he got here. He took the prints off his fingers. So, the thief is serious. Gringo chose not to tell about the $2 million. The American asked a local realtor to provide him with an apartment. I don't want to live without a roof over my head. The standard room is a bunk with a curtain. But the business class room was equipped with a casino. Dozens of prostitutes serve special prisoners there. The kid's mom also works in the elite block. What are you staring at? In the morning, several people were shot while trying to escape. The kid told me about the main thing. His name is Javi and he can leave prison at any time, but he always has to come back. For some reason, the boy wants to kill him. The fat one is Caracas, Javi's brother, and the small real estate king Carnal is his cousin. The consul found out who had arrested Gringo and began to keep an eye on Vasquez and Romero. These policemen began to live in a big way. Where did they get the money? Sunday is visiting day in El Pueblito. Attractions were set up for children, and dozens of tents were set up right in the middle of the town for marital dates. The kid was fighting with another boy. Caracas immediately stopped the fight. All the bandits are making sure that nothing happens to this little guy. The kid himself wanted to stab Javi, but the Gringo talked him out of it. The guy wants to understand what's so special about this kid. He killed my father. The kid said that Javi killed his father and transplanted his liver. That's why they're so protective of the boy. He's the next donor. Every prisoner has a blood test, but no one except the kid comes up. And a new operation is due to take place soon. You don't want to kill Javi, but you have to kill Javi before he kills you. Gringo invited the kid to become partners. They will overwhelm this hub. The mother relented when she saw that the gringo no longer allowed her son to smoke. Meanwhile, the prison was visited by dirty cops dressed up. They wondered whose money they were spending, because the other 2 policemen were tortured for a long time and then brutally killed. You have no idea who we are. Gringo put a stolen watch on the boy's hand so that he could distract that young bandit. He himself cleaned out Karnal's pockets, after which he divided the money with his partner. Mom invited the American to have a beer. She, like her husband, received a tag for storing 3 kilograms of powder. So, are you married? Take it easy, lady, you've accelerated. This Javi has incredibly rare blood, 1 in 500,000 people. Her son could be picked up at any moment. His relatives don't respect Karnali. He doesn't do business well and now he doesn't pay the rent. He's lying. Allegedly, someone robbed him. Suddenly, the Karnali bandit remembered about the kid with the watch. Apparently, he and the gringo conspired to take his money. Enraged, Karnal attacked the boy and his mother. The bandit decided to settle accounts with the American. He had a gun with him. Gringo ran into the bathroom to pick up the hidden gun. He took down the bandit and then rushed to rescue the family. However, Caracas arrived before him and broke into a relative. Cuzena was furious and was about to beat Carac with a frying pan, but Gringo arrived in time and took down Karnal. Javi is angry, mostly because his dead cousin put blood on his operating room. Javi initially wanted to take down the gringos, but realized that this American knows a lot about them. We need to find out who he is first, and then kill. The consul called and said that he knew approximately where the money was. For a small percentage, he will help an American get out of prison. However, gringos don't play by other people's rules. He immediately ran to Caracas and told about the cops who took his $2 million. It seems they forgot to share the share with the bandits, but other serious people got to the cops earlier. They were sent by the owner of the stolen money. However, 1,700,000 remained of the total amount. Cut off his finger. It turned out that the gringo had stolen not 2 but 4 million. Frank ordered the execution of these idiots. Romero had already taken his bullet, but Vasquez was saved by the prisoners who arrived in time, only to kill him with their pistol. Frank heard Javi's name, so he'll find his money with this Mexican asshole. The first thing Frank did was bribe Consul, who tipped off the gringo and paid the guards to let 3 thugs into the prison and cover them up if necessary. The kid was the first to notice 3 cowboys who opened fire, but instead of the gringos, they shot a bunch of locals. The armed prisoners started shooting back. Random victims fall to the asphalt. The gringos also joined the fight. A guard opened fire on him from a tower. I had to shut him down too. The last cowboy threw a grenade at Caracas. There was a kid and his mom nearby, so the gringo intercepted the grenade. I returned it to the mercenary. Yes, there are too many problems because of this American prisoner. When the massacre was over, Javi sat 2 guards on chairs and blew their brains out with a single bullet. But the gringo offered to save his life. He would get to Frank and kill him, thus saving the Mexicans the trouble. Kill him, but don't come back after that. The authority will provide the gringo with weapons and transport, but he should stop communicating with the kid. The prison governor said that 2,000 soldiers would soon descend because of the massacre. It's time for the brothers to think about moving to a new prison. He doesn't want to lose the kid, so they'll do the surgery right now. The gringos were released with gifts of a wheelbarrow and a gun. Whether he kills Frank or not, he himself will be removed anyway. To lure Frank out of hiding, Gringo arranged a meeting between him and businessman Kaufman. The kid's mom saw an unfamiliar white man in a suit and realized that he was a surgeon. She had prepared a shelter for the boy in advance and hid him there. Gringo noticed a tail behind him a long time ago. He bought a cheeseburger and stuffed it into the tailpipe of his pursuers. When the car stalled, the former military man took them off with a sniper rifle. The woman was tortured with electricity so that she would give up her son, but the Mexican woman only spat in Javi's face. The boy came to authority on his own and stabbed his liver with a sharpener in front of his mother. The kid was brought into the operating room. Perhaps he was unable to damage the organ. Gringo came to Kaufman's office and introduced himself as Frank's man. He drugged the businessman and met Frank with his assistant. Without further ado, the gringo threw grenades at their feet. The job is done. Now you can return to Mexico. The surgeon confirmed that the kid missed. The liver was not hurt. Javi insisted that the operation be performed today. Gringo found the consul and learned that the prison was being closed and Javi was about to receive a new liver. The American paid prostitutes to spice the consul's genitals with hot chili sauce. Hundreds of police surrounded the prison. The operation will be carried out right during the assault. The special forces began to clean up the criminal town, and the surgeon made the first incision. Gringo was able to enter the prison using the consul's documents. Shots are fired from time to time. Some bandits are resisting. The gringo began to break through the scumbag's barricades. He found a bag with money but gave up on it and rushed to save the kid. His liver has already been removed from his body. Put it where you got it. Gringo pointed a gun at Javi and ordered Caracas to bring the kid's mom. He cheated and sent his men first. Gringo shot them, but a surgical assistant put a gun to his head. However, this was a trick on her part. She chose to save the child rather than help the fat bandit. Gringo also put on a bathrobe and helped to roll the boy outside. By the way, he did not forget about the money and took the bags with him. Some of the prisoners naively hid in a pile of garbage. But the gringo's plan worked. The special forces allowed the ambulance to leave the prison without any problems. Well, Habas is good. After escaping, the American took out the remaining $2 million which he hid in another car. Now he lives with the kid and his mom by the ocean.